There's 4 chapters on the participle. I have 1 chapter because I refuse to make it more difficult than it is. The participle is not difficult. It's us Greek scholars who make it difficult. Now, can anybody tell me in English what the participle suffix is in English? What's the suffix for a participle? I-N-G, right? That's it. All of the participles that you learn, all you have to do in English is add an ing, and it's a participle. Okay? I'm going to show you how simple this is. I'm going to show you how we make it more difficult than it really is. If you look at the board, I want to work through some simple exercises with you. But first of all, let me define a participle. A participle is a hybrid. It's a verbal hybrid. It starts out looking like a what? It starts out looking like a verb, and it ends up looking like a noun or an adjective. See that there? Therefore, grammarians call it a grammatical hybrid. It's a combination. It's neither a verb nor an adjective, but it is a, let's look at the title of this lesson. It is a verbal. In other words, it starts out, you think it's a verb, right? It starts out, you thought it was a verb, but then all of a sudden it ends up looking like a noun or an adjective. Therefore, grammarians call it a grammatical hybrid. It is a combination of a verb, and it is a combination of an adjective. And when you translate a participle, you'll either be focusing on the verbal idea or on the adjectival idea. Let me start by illustrating how it works as a verb, where it emphasizes the verb part of it more than it emphasizes the adjective part of it. You will notice that in this sentence there is a main clause, and there is a subordinate clause. I'm going to separate the subordinate clause. Class, would you please look at the main clause here? Would you please translate it for me? It shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be that difficult. Go. The apostles see the Lord. The apostles see the Lord. No problem, right? No problem at all. That is called a main clause. Now the participle here is what we call, not a main clause, but what's the opposite of a main clause? A subordinate clause. You cannot translate a subordinate clause as a complete sentence. A subordinate clause or a dependent clause is dependent upon another clause. That other clause being called the what? The main clause. Good. Okay. Please look at this word. It comes from luo. Please add an ing and you've translated it correctly. Luontes, translate. Loosing. That's it. That's the participle. See it? Loosing the servants. The apostles see the Lord. Loosing the servants. The apostles see the Lord. Please look at the participle here. It is comprised of the following morphemes, 3 of which you have already had. Have you had this morpheme right there?
Yes.
Have you had this morpheme right there? Have you had this morpheme right there? By the way, what is the name of this morpheme? It's not the person number suffix. Case number suffix. It tells me 2 things about this word. Its case and its number. Can anybody tell me its case? No? Genitive, dative? Doesn't it look like sasia, esoncia? Nominative. Okay, can you tell me whether it's singular or plural?
Plural.
By the way, I've given you, here's how it works. Luon, this falls in 3rd declension. Luon, luontas, luonti, luonta, luon, test. You see it now? It's plural and it's nominative. Why is it plural nominative? Because it is modified, it's functioning as an adjective modifying what noun? In other words, who is doing the loosing? Who is loosing the servants? The apostles. Therefore, the participle must agree, as an adjective must agree, with its noun in what three things? In gender, number, and case. What gender is hoi apostoloi? What number is it? What case is it? By the way, apostoloi follows, this suffix follows which declension? Second declension. This one follows which declension? Third. Don't forget the third declension. Because in the participle especially, you're going to see this third declension case number suffixes. Okay? Now here's the new morpheme. See, that's the sign of a participle. That indicates the word is a participle. And it usually indicates that the word is an active participle. An active participle. So luantes is a present, let me parse it for you. It's a present, active participle. Now, participle will go in what slot? Tense, voice, and mood, okay? This is a present, active participle. Now, I need to identify the gender, number, and case. It is masculine, it is plural, and it is nominative. And then I need to give one last thing when I parse it. I need to give the source. What is the source of luantes? Luo. Okay? Loosing. Now, let me refine it just a little bit for you, if I may. With the present participle indicates action that is taking place at the same time as the main verb. This is what is called contemporaneous action. Let me repeat. A present participle indicates time that is contemporaneous with the main verb. It is happening at the what time? At the same time. So, let me give you a little trick in translating the present participle. Because it indicates contemporaneous action, here's a little helping word in English. You don't always have to use it, but use it if it helps, if it makes better English. I will use the word while. While. So instead of translating this as loosing the servants, the apostles see the Lord, it sounds better in English to do what? While loosing the servants, the apostles see the Lord. Do you see that both actions are happening at the same time? Okay. Now, you don't have to use the while, but in English it sounds better. But that's not the only way to do it. Here's another way you could do this. The Greek permits this translation also. While they are loosing the servants, the apostles see the Lord. So, rarely, if ever, will there only be one possible translation. Loosing the servants, the apostles see the Lord. While loosing the servants, the apostles see the Lord. While they are loosing the servants, the apostles see the Lord. I would accept any of those. But which sounds better to you? Number 1, 2, or 3? I think 2 sounds the best, don't you? So therefore, when you have a present participle, it often helps to slip in one little helping word in English. The word is while. Okay? Look at sentence number 2. The only thing that I've changed is what word? The first word. You see it there? Have I changed anything else? No. Please translate the main clause for me. The apostles see the Lord. Okay? This is a participle. What suffix will you give it in English? Go. In. So translate lusantes. Go. Loosing. That's all you have to do. Don't make the participle more difficult than it is. Lusantes is loosing. Loosing the servants. The apostles see the Lord. Now, however, there's one difference here. Have you noticed that I've switched from the present participle to the good, to the aorist participle. Now, here's how the aorist participle works in Greek. Unlike the present participle, which indicates action which is contemporaneous with the main verb, the aorist participle indicates action which is, now here's the word that I'm going to throw out to you. Try to understand what it means. The aorist participle indicates action which is antecedent to that of the main verb. In other words, the action described by the participle is happening before, not while, but before the action of the main verb. And grammarians call that antecedent action. So, to review, the present participle indicates action which is contemporaneous with the main verb. That means it's happening at the what time? At the same time. Whereas the aorist participle indicates action that is antecedent to that of the main verb. That means it happened before the action of the main verb. Now with that in mind, what little helping word can I use here? Both of these are loosing. This was while loosing. What English helping word do you think I would?
When.
After. That's all you need to do. After. Okay, so let's translate sentence number 2. After loosing the servants, the apostles see the Lord. Which action came first, the seeing or the loosing? How does the Greek tell me that? The Greek puts the participle in the aorist. Whereas, contrast that with sentence number 1. Which action happened first, the loosing or the seeing? They happened at the same time. So let's repeat numbers 1 and 2. When you encounter a participle, you will give it one English suffix. Ing. Right? Ing. Translate luantes. Lu-sing. Translate lusantes. Lu-sing. Okay? The present participle indicates action which is, what's the key word I'm looking for? Contemporaneous. Say that. Contemporaneous. What does that mean? The action is happening at the same time. Therefore, what little helping word in English indicates contemporaneous action? While. So, what's the best translation really of number 1? While loosing the servants, the apostles see the Lord. Sentence number 2. Lusantes is what tense? The aorist. What kind of action does the aorist tense express in relationship to the main verb? What's my key word here? It's called antecedent. Please say that word. Antecedent. One more time. Antecedent. What does that word mean? It means that this action occurred before this action. So what little helping word in English might indicate antecedent action? After. So let's translate sentence number 2. After loosing the servants, the apostles see the Lord. Or, there are other ways to do it. Having loosed the servants, the apostles, when they had loosed the servants, the apostles see the Lord. You follow what I'm saying? Rarely, if ever, will there be only one correct way of translating the participle. There's a lot of flexibility here. To me, the simplest way of doing it is just after loosing, while loosing. So let me repeat. A participle, and by the way, the participle is very important because the Greek of the New Testament is a participle-loving language. You will encounter participles. The Great Commission has one command and 3 participles. What are the participles? Going, going, baptizing, teaching. There's only one command. What is it? Make disciples. Make disciples. There's a participle. Going, baptizing, teaching. Greek is a participle-loving language. But don't make too big of a deal over the participle grammatically. It's not that hard to understand. When you encounter a participle, you must understand, first of all, that the participle is a combination of what 2 things? A verb and a noun/adjective. It starts out looking like a verb, and it ends up looking like a noun or an adjective. Therefore, it is called a grammatical hybrid. Okay? Being an adjective, it must agree with the noun that it's modifying in what 3 things? What 3 things does an adjective have to agree with the noun in? Gender, number, and case. If my noun is masculine, the participle has to be masculine. If the noun is nominative, the participle has to be nominative. And if the noun is plural, the participle has to be plural. Notice which declension the participle normally follows. The normal pattern is the what? The third declension. So don't forget your basic suffixes of the third declension. What were your basic suffixes of the third declension? What are they? Sa, sia, es, om, si, as. Do you see how they work here? Except in the nominative singular. Do you see how it works there? Okay. How many morphemes does luantes contain? It contains 4. Lu is called the lexical morpheme. The omicron is called the neutral morpheme. The S is called the case number suffix. And the neutral is the sign of a participle. The neutral tells you this word is a participle. And it usually means it's an active participle. So when you think neutral, think what? Active participle. Always participle, but normally active participle. So when I see a neutral, I'm reading my Greek New Testament and I see a neutral, I normally think that's an active participle. At least I know it's a participle. And it's usually an active participle. Now, let's switch gears, okay? Let's click the mouse. We're switching to a different file. Look at this sentence. Sometimes the participle will function more adjectivally than verbally. This is a verbal use. This is more of an adjectival use. Now you say, well, what do you mean by an adjectival use? Well, let me remind you how an adjective works. Please look at sentence number 3. And here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to over-translate it for me. I normally don't ask you to do this, but I'd like you to do it now. Please over-translate sentence number 3. Are you ready? Here we go. The apostles, the good ones, see the Lord. You see that's what the Greek is saying? The apostles, the good ones, see the Lord. Now, we would never translate it that way. How would we have to translate it? The good apostles. Okay? Now, notice, agathoi is what part of speech? Adjective. An adjective must agree with the noun that it's modifying in what? 3 things? In gender, number, and case. Okay. Now watch this. Look at this sentence here. Luantes is a participle. And it is functioning adjectively to modify the apostles. It too must agree with the noun that it's modifying in 3 things. What 3 things? Gender, number, and case. So let's over-translate. Let's see if we can do this. Let's over-translate sentence 4. Let's go real slowly. You can do this, but track with me. Hoi. The. Or za. Either one. Za or the. Apostoloi. Apostles. Apostles. The. Za. Loosing one. The servants see the Lord. Here's what the Greek is saying. Watch this. The Greek is saying this. The apostles, the loosing ones. Whereas sentence number 3 said what? The apostles, the good ones. Do you see how this is functioning more adjectively? What kind of apostles? The loosing ones. What kind of apostles? The good ones. Okay? So the Greek says, the apostles, the loosing ones, the servants, see the Lord. Now that's not how you'll translate it. To translate an adjectival participle, in other words, a participle that has an article in front of it. See the difference between this one and this one? This one has an article in front of it. Here's what you will do. You will give the article a relative translation. Let me repeat that. When the participle is immediately preceded by an article, you will give the article a relative translation. You say relative to what? No. By relative, I mean an English relative pronoun. You say, what is that? The English relative pronoun is who, which, or that. That's the English relative pronoun. Who, which, or that. So here's how we would smooth this out. The apostles who are loosing the servants see the Lord. Let me repeat that. The apostles who are loosing. Where are we getting the who from, Dr. Mike? There's no who up there. You're right. There is no who. There's only a what? A the. And this is good Greek, but it's bad what? English. You see, this is not a Greek problem we're dealing with. We're dealing now with the problem of what language? The English language. How do I best communicate this in English? And here's what most grammarians have determined is the best way to do it. When you see that article, do not translate it the, but translate it as an English relative pronoun. What are the relative pronouns in English? Who, which, or that. So probably the best way of translating sentence number 4 is the apostles who are loosing the servants see the Lord. Stop right there. I have just introduced you to the two most important, two most common uses of the participle. The first one is called the adverbial use, and the second one is called the adjectival use. Well, by the way, you don't have to jot any of this down because we'll be in the textbook very shortly. And all of this is clearly explained to you. Clearly explained. All right. Now, please compare 4 and 5. Now look at sentence 5. Do you see what I've done? All I've done is I've gotten rid of these two words. Okay? See that? Okay. It's as if I did this in sentence 3. It's as if I did this. Now please translate sentence number 3 for me. The good men, or the good ones, see the Lord. Look at sentence number 4. Translate. The apostles who are loosing the servants see the Lord. And here's all I've done. I've done this. Shoo. See it there? Now I have gone from the adjectival use to what we call the substantival use. Remember that from the adjective? So literally, sentence number 5 says this. The loosing ones, the servants, see the Lord. But let's smooth that out. Ready? Begin. The ones who are loosing the servants see the Lord. The ones who are loosing. The ones who are loosing. Or the men, right? Who are loosing. Look at sentence number 4. Translate. The men who are loosing. Translate sentence number 5. The, since it's masculine plural, could I do it this way? The men who are loosing the servants see the Lord. Now, this is a present participle. So, the participle is happening at the same time as the main verb. What kind of action is that called? Contemporaneous. Please look at sentence number 6. Can you please tell me what has changed? Does anything change? This has changed, right there. That's the only thing that has changed. Now, being an aorist participle, this indicates that this action took place before. What's my technical word for that? Not contemporaneous, but antecedent. It happened before. This action happens before this action. How do I know? The aorist usually indicates what kind of action in relation to the main verb. Antecedent action. Now on that basis, let's see if we can translate this. Now this one was the ones who are loosing the servants. This one would be the ones who loosed the servants see the Lord. Can you hear the difference? See how Greek works? The present participle is indicating action that is happening at the same time. The aorist participle is indicating action that has happened before, or prior, or antecedent to. So, number 6 is the ones who loosed the servants see the Lord. Which took place first in number 6? The loosing or the seeing? The loosing. How does Greek tell me that? It puts it in what tense? The aorist tense. So let me repeat. You see the only difference between 5 and 6, class? Only difference is between the present participle and the aorist participle. The only difference. The present participle indicates contemporaneous action. The aorist participle indicates antecedent. All right, one more basic concept. One more basic concept, and then we'll take a break. The participle can also be used outside of the active voice. And here's a classic example of that. Let's take this clause out. And let's see if we can translate boy duloi, blepusitan kurian. Go. The servants see the Lord. Okay? Now let's pick up the hoi. The servants, who, right? Right. When the participle is preceded by the article, you give it what kind of a translation? A relative translation. What do I mean by relative? You will use what kind of pronoun in English? A relative pronoun. What are the relative pronouns in English? Who, which, or that. The servants, who. Now, you see the men? That men means non-active. So it's either middle or passive. Which one are you going to start with? Always. The passive. This is a present passive participle. Can you tell me what gender, number, and case? Gender, number, and case. Is it masculine? Yeah. Is it nominative? Yeah. Is it plural? Why is it masculine, nominative, plural? Because it is modifying a noun which is masculine and nominative plural. All right? So the form permits middle or passive. Which one am I always going to start with? So let's try it out. The servants who are being loosed by the apostles see the Lord. Let's do it again. Go. The servants who are being loosed by the apostles see the Lord. Let's parse luomenoi. It's present, passive. Now what's going to come in the mood slot now? Participle. How are you going to abbreviate that? How about P-A-R-T? Probably be a good way, right? P-A-R-T, participle. So this is present active participle. Can you tell me the gender, number, and case? What gender is it? It is masculine. Can you tell me the number? It is plural. Can you tell me the case? It is nominative. And can you tell me the source? Okay. So how many morphemes does luomenoi contain? It contains bang, 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 4. This one is called a lexical morpheme. This is called a neutral. This is called the case number suffix. And this is the sign of a participle. But what kind of a participle? Being a multiple morpheme, it tells you that not only is the word a participle, but it is a non-active participle. Got it? A non-active participle. Okay? And the source is luo. By the way, have you seen men before? Have you seen the morpheme men before? Take a look. Have you ever seen a men before? Yes. Try to say luomen. We loose, right? Or we are loosing. Now those are the men that are running around at the end of the word. That's different from the men who are running around inside of the word. Can you see the difference? There's a big difference. You say, well, that men must mean we. No, no, no. This men doesn't mean we, does it? No. Not anymore. This men means we. This men means the word is a participle. What kind of a participle? A non-active participle. Be very careful there. Be very, very careful. Okay? Men and men mean two different things. Men means one thing. Men means another. And the way I like to think of it is the men at the end of the word, the men got to run around inside of the word. Okay? The men running around inside of the word. And we, by the way, we have just covered all of the basic concepts of the participle. So let me review, okay? Let's review. What is a participle? A participle is a grammatical hybrid. It is a combination of a noun and an a verb and an adjective, and therefore grammarians refer to it as a verbal adjective. It starts out looking like a what? Verb, doesn't it? Because it is a verb, but it's not a finite verb. It starts out looking like a verb. It ends up looking like a noun or an adjective. Right, a noun or an adjective or a substantive. That's how it ends up looking. And so really it's a combination of both. Sometimes, in a sense, the verbal idea is prominent, as here. This is telling when something is happening. At other times, the adjectival idea is prominent. This is not saying when something is happening. This is telling us something about the subject of the sentence. This is modifying a noun, and therefore the verbal element, the adjectival element is predominant. Either way, a participle will agree with the noun that it is modifying in three things. What three things? Gender, number, and case. All right, so let's translate these sentences again, and then we'll take our break. Are you ready? Here we go. This is the present participle. What's my helping word in English? While. Here we go. While loosing the servants, the apostles see the Lord. What tense is this participle? What's my helping word? After. Go. After loosing the servants, the apostles see the Lord. Number 3. The good apostles see the Lord. Number 4. The apostles who are loosing the servants see the Lord. The ones who are loosing the servants see the Lord. The ones who loosed the servants see the Lord. The servants who are being loosed by the apostles see the Lord. Parsing, Luan test. Here's how you do it. Now in parsing, you have to give 7 things. You need to give tense, voice, mood, gender, number, case, and at the end you need to give the what? The source. Here we go. This is, just listen, this is called a present active participle. Masculine, plural, nominative from luo. Look at Luson test. This is called an aorist active participle, masculine, nominative, plural from luo. Luon test. Present active participle, masculine, plural, nominative from luo. Luon test. Present active participle, always lean on the article for gender, number, and case. Masculine, plural, nominative from luo. Luson test. Aorist active participle, masculine, plural, nominative, luo. Luominoi. Present passive participle, masculine, plural, nominative from luo. Okay. When we get back from our break, we'll go into the text. All of this is thoroughly explained in the book. We'll go through it. And by the way, The best way to learn participles is by looking at examples. I've given you about 34 examples that we're just going to go through. And at the end of that, it'll almost become intuitive. As you go over example, like we're doing here, just go over them, over them, over them, over them, until it becomes intuitive. So that's what we're going to practice at the end of the break. Okay? See you at 10:30. Okay, gentlemen, let us turn to page 137. 137, let's look at the uses of the participle. The uses of the participle. There are three basic uses, as we have already discussed, but I think it might be helpful to look at the book here and look at these illustrations that we give. If you look at number 1, you will see that there are two words in bold. You see those two words in bold? Ha and Lego. Lego. Ha and Lego. Okay? Which one of those two words is the participle? Lego. Let's see if we can parse Lego. Okay? It is present, active, participle. Now for the gender number case, if I were you, I would look at the word in front of Lego to help me. Okay? So what gender is it? Masculine. What number is it? Singular. And what case is it? Nominative. Why is it masculine, nominative, singular? Because remember, a participle is a verbal adjective, and as an adjective, it must agree with the noun that it is modifying in what three things? Gender, number, and case. So what noun is it modifying? Who is doing the speaking? Who is doing the saying? The man. Yes. You see that there? My participle agrees with the noun that it's modifying in gender and number and case. Now let me ask you this question. Look at the first four words in number 1. Ha, anthropos, ha, legon. Do all four words agree? They do, don't they? They don't all look alike, do they? They don't all look alike, the endings don't look alike, but all four of them agree. This is called grammatical agreement. Now, remember I told you, when you have an article in front of a participle, you will give it what kind of a translation, class? A relative translation. You say, Dr. Black, relative to what? No, I don't mean that kind of relativity. You will give it a relative translation, that is, you will translate it as an English relative pronoun. What are the English relative pronouns? Who, which, or that. So let's translate sentence number 1. Literally it says this. The man, the saying one. That's not a translation, that's what? An over-translation. Now we need to smooth it out. Are you ready? Let's go. The man who is saying these things sees the servant. You see that? By the way, the tauta, do you understand where the tauta is coming from? Tauta is neuter of hutos. That's these things. Okay? Or you could translate it the man who says these things. That would be acceptable. But really, in the present tense, well, I really would prefer you brought out what aspect? What is this aspect called? Imperfective. I would really prefer that you did it that way, even though both would be acceptable for quiz, exam purposes. Okay? The man who is saying these things sees the servant. Look at number 2. I've dropped out the first two words, right? Okay? So let's translate ha, lego, and tauta, blepe, tandulan. Notice there's 3 possibilities, right? What's the first one? The one who is saying these things sees the servant. Or the man who is saying these things sees the servant. Or the one who says these things sees the servant. Or the man who says these things sees the servant. You see that? All of that to illustrate there is very rarely, if ever, only one legitimate way of translating a participle. Okay? There are always several options. So which one sounds best to you in English of those 3? Which one sounds best to you? I think I like the first one. Because the one, see, instead of the man, but I would accept any of them. I would accept any of them. Now, please notice that numbers 1 and 2 have something in common. Did you notice that the participle is immediately preceded by what part of speech? The article. Do you see that? Look at number 1. It says ha Lego. Look at number 2. It says ha Lego. Look at number 3. Does it say ha Lego? No. It just says Lego. Okay? Now, Lego is a participle. What suffix in English do you attach to it? I-N-G. Ing, right? So translate Lego. Just saying, speaking. Okay? It's a present participle. What's my helping word with the present participle? While. So let's translate number 3. While saying these things, the man sees the servant. Notice we have how many clauses in sentence number 3? 2. Do we have a main clause? Yes. What is the main clause? The man sees the servant. What is the dependent clause? While saying these things. You got it? In numbers 1 and 2, the adjectival function is predominant, whereas in number 3, the verbal function is predominant. This is telling me when the event is happening. When does the man see the servant? While he is saying these things. So notice the 3 possible translations. While saying these things, or while he is saying these things, or just saying these things, the man sees the servant. Okay? Those are the 3 uses of the participle. Please turn to the page. Let's go over again some of these uses in translating the participle. Number 1, like an adjective, the participle may be used attributively. That is, it may attribute a quality to a noun. In sentence number 1, Lego is used attributively in that it attributes a quality to the noun anthropos, with which it must agree in 3 things. What are they? Gender, number, and case. Typically, a participle used attributively stands in what grammarians call the attributive position. What in the world does that mean? It means that it is immediately preceded by what part of speech? The article. The best way of translating an attributive participle is by means of a relative clause. A relative clause is one that begins with a relative pronoun. Thus, ha anthropos, ha legom tauta may be translated, the man who is saying these things, or the man who says these things. Number 2, like an adjective, the participle may also be used substantively. That is, it may stand on its own and function as a substantive, as in sentence 2. Just as ha agathos means the good one, or the good man, so ha lego means the one who is saying, or the man who is saying, or the one who says. Number 3. In addition to being used adjectively and substantively, the participle may also be used adverbially to indicate some circumstance under which the action of the verb takes place, the main verb takes place. The adverbial participle is anarthrous. What in the world does that mean? It will never be immediately preceded by what? An article. And thus it stands in what is called the predicate position, as in sentence number 3. Most adverbial participles may be translated by means of a dependent clause, introduced by such words as while, or when, or having, or after, or because, depending upon the context. It is important to understand that participles do not, strictly speaking, have tense. That is, they do not refer to past, present, or future time.
It turns out, however, that the present participle most frequently denotes, what's the word here? Contemporaneous action, that is, action taking place at the same time as the action of the main verb, while the aorist participle most frequently denotes antecedent action. Please underline those two words, contemporaneous and antecedent. Antecedent action is action that takes place before the action of the main verb. Therefore, if you're going to translate the present participle, what's my little helping word in English? While loosing. If you're going to translate the aorist participle, what's my little helping word to indicate the antecedent nature of the action? After loosing, or having loosed. Can you hear the difference? After loosing, having loosed, when they had loosed. Follow me? Any of those would work. All right, drop to the bottom of the page. Let's look at these examples. Lego tauta. Ha anthropos plebeton doulan. What is the main clause? Please translate, class, only the main clause for me. Go. The man sees the servant. Look at the first word. Is it immediately preceded by the article? No. Therefore, you will not give it what kind of a translation? A relative translation. Right? You will not give it a relative translation. All you have to do is add ing. Okay? You see Lego? Lego. Add ing. Save. Got it? Save. Ah, what tense is Lego? Present. So what is my little helping word to indicate that it is contemporaneous with the action of the main verb? While. While. So let's translate Lego tauta. While saying these things. Or, while he is saying these things, the man sees the servant. Stop right there. Can everybody hear how it's contemporaneous? Can you hear that? Can you hear how both events are happening at the one time? At the same time, okay? Top of the next page. Notice the contrast. Notice now the contrast with the aorist participle. Apo. Having said these things, or after he said these things, or even you could translate it after he had said these things. Any of those would work. You see how the aorist participle indicates action that is antecedent to that of the main verb. Okay? Look at C and D. Now let's look at C and D. Okay? C is while saying these things, the man sees the servant. You see that in C? While saying these things, or while he is saying these things. Now please compare C and D. Look at C and compare it with D. What has changed? Has the participle changed? What has changed? The main verb. See that? Blepe has become eblefsa. I've gone from what tense to what tense? I've gone from the present tense to the aorist tense. Now, look at C and just translate the first clause, the main clause in C. The main clause in C. Go. The man sees the servant. Please go to D and translate just the main clause. The man saw the servant. Okay? But look at the different translation between C and D. You see that? You understand why we have to translate D while he was saying these things? Why? Because legon, being a present participle, watch this, indicates action which is what? Contemporaneous with the what verb? The main verb. So if my main verb is in the past, the participle must now agree in terms of the time. See that? So look at C. Look at C. While he is saying these things. See that? Look at D. While he was saying these things. But look at the Greek. Has the Greek changed? No. It's legon and it is lego. So just remember that when you're translating, it doesn't matter what tense the main verb is. It can be future, it can be present, it can be aorist, whatever. The present participle will always be happening at the what time? If the main verb happens in the future, the participle will be describing action that is happening when? If the main verb is in the present, the participle, if it's in the present tense, will indicate action that is happening in the present. Watch this. If the main verb is in the past, then the participle, being a present participle, will indicate action that is in the past. Let me repeat. Participles do not have any time. Just because it's a present participle doesn't mean it's happening in the present time. A present participle indicates action that is happening at the same time as the main verb. Okay? Would you take a minute, please, again, just look at C and D. Just take a second, if you will. Look at C and D until this sinks in, because it's a new concept. It's a new concept. Let it.
How do you parse Lego in of D?
How do you do the what?
Parse.
How do you parse Lego?
Yes, in.
Oh,
in
okay.
yeah.
Well, good question. How do you parse Lego in D? You would parse it exactly the same way as in C. You parse it according to its form, right? So let's parse Lego in D. Only according to the C. In D. Let's do D. What tense of a participle is this? Present.
But we translate it as past.
What tense is the participle? Present. What does present mean? That it is contemporaneous with the main verb. Yeah, so always parse according to the form. What tense is this? This is from Lego, so what tense is this?
Present.
And by the way, do you see? You will see that that's why there's no imperfect participle. You don't need one. Because I can use a present participle and make it contemporaneous with an aorist tense verb. And that's what's happening in D. That's what's happening in D. So you always parse it according to the form. By the way, there are no imperfect participles. They'll be present, they'll be aorist, and they'll be perfect. And you can pretty much forget perfect. When you parse, it'll either be in the present or it'll be in the aorist. The present means that it's happening at the same time as the main verb. The aorist means it is happening before the action of the main verb. So let's parse Lego in D. Ready? Begin. Present, active, participle, gender, masculine, number, singular, case, nominative, and the source is Lego. Remember, Lego follows what declension? Legon, legon pas, legon t, etc. What declension? Do you remember archon? Archon, archontos, archonti. See? Okay. So this is a third declension pattern. Third declension pattern. Very good question. Very good question. Parse it according to its form. This is a present participle. Even though you translated it like a past tense verb, didn't you? Yeah. So, source is Lego. The source is the verb, Lego. What would be the source of Legon then? What would be the source? Lego. What would be the source of Legon, please? Lego. Yeah. Yeah. What would be the source of Luson test? Good. Luo. What would be the source of Akuan test? Good. Cool. What would be the source of Akusan test? Akusan test. Yeah, akua. Right? Akua. The source is always the first person singular. What tense? Present. First person singular of what tense? Present. Always. Always, always the source. So, in parsing, you have to give how many things now?
tense, voice, mood. Gender, number, case. And then at the very end, you have to give the what? The source. Drop down to number 4. Number 4 on page 139. See number 4 there? Look at 4A, please. 4A, we're on page 139, bottom of the page, 4A. It goes like this. Hadulos, haluamenos, hupatu kuriu, blepetan apostolon. Are we all there? We're on the bottom of 139. 139. Number 4, letter A. Okay? Hadulos, haluamenos, hupatu kuriu, blepetan apostolon. Okay? Let's translate. The servant who is being loosed, hupatu kuriu, by the Lord, blepetan apostolon, sees the apostle. Go to B. Hadulos haluthes. Luthes is an aorist passive. Aorist passive participle. Let's see what we can do with it. The servant who was loosed, right? An aorist participle indicates action that is what? In relation to the main verb. Antecedent. The servant who was loosed by the Lord sees the apostle. By the way, take a look at luthes. Luthes. And here's the genitive, luthentos. Can you tell me what the dative is? Luthen, T, and luthenta, and the nominative plural luthentes and luthenton. You follow what I'm doing here? This follows again the third declension. By the way, you notice outside of the indicative mood, we're in the participle now. We no longer have theta eta. Outside of the indicative mood, we no longer have theta eta. We have what? Theta epsilon. But it's the same morpheme. It's the same morpheme. It's the passive voice morpheme. Okay? But it's no longer lengthened. Only the indicative is, does the become they? Does the become they? By the way, look at 4A, please. 4A, luamenos. Luamenos. Let me put it on the board here. Luamenos. All right, let's parse it. I need tense, voice, mood, gender, number, case, and source. What is the tense? Present. Well, you have two choices, right? Present and aorist. Is there anything to indicate that it's aorist? No. So it's present. What voice is it? The servant who is being loosed. Passive. What mood? What goes in the mood slot now? Participle. How are we going to abbreviate that? P-A-R-T. Probably be the best way, right? Participle. Can you tell me the gender, number, and case? Well, look at the book. There's a word that comes right in front of it. You see it? It's this word right here. And whenever you have an article, what are you going to do? You're going to always lean on the article as the unfailing means of telling gender, number, and case. Can you tell me what gender luamenos is? Can you tell me what number it is? Can you tell me what case it is? Nominative. And can you tell me what the source of luamenos is? It's got to be what? Luo. It's got to be from Luo. Look at B, 4B. Look at luthes. Right here, luthes. Let's see if we can parse this one. What tense? Aorist. What voice? Passive. What mood? Participle. Now look at the gender, number, case. Oh, there's a word right in front of it. See it there? It's the word ha. So what gender is it? Masculine. What number is it? Singular. And what case is it? Nominative. And what is the source of luthes? Luo. Turn the page, please. Look at number 5. Point number 5. What is the negative with the participle? Is it oo or is it may? May. Remember when we introduced oo and may a long time ago? we said that oo was used with the indicative and may was used with the non-indicative, right? So from here on out, the participle, the subjunctive, the imperative, the optative, the infinitive, if you're going to say not, you cannot use oo anymore. What word will you use? May. Look at the example I gave you there, please, number 5. Please translate number 5 there without the may. Without the may. Take the may out, or cover up the may. Let's see if we can translate the sentence without the may. Ready? Begin. The man who is saying these things sees the servant. Now let's put the may in there. Ready? Begin. The man who is not saying these things sees the servant. Okay? So to repeat, what is the negative adverb with the participle? Is it oo or is it may? May. Got it? You will use may outside of the indicative mood. That's number 5. That's all that's saying. Look at number 6. If a verb is deponent in the indicative, will it be deponent in the participle? Yeah. Look at hoi erkomenoi. Let's parse hoi erkomenoi. Now, do you see the little men running around in the word? That tells you it's a non-active what? Participle. Let me repeat. When you see a new tau in a word, that means it's a participle. Usually a what participle? When you see men, watch this, men that are running around in the word, that means it's a participle. But what kind of a participle? Non-active. What are my options? Passive, middle, or what? Deponent. Active, middle, or deponent. Let's parse erkomenoi. All right, take a look at erkomenoi. What tense is it? Well, it's from erkomai, so what tense is it? Present. What voice is it? Deponent, right? D-E-P. D-E-P. What mood is it? Participle. Can you tell me the gender? Masculine. Can you tell me the number? Can you tell me the case? Sure you can. No problem, right? You recognize the article, don't you? All right. And the source of erkomenoi. What is the source class? Erkomai. What kind of a verb is erkomai? It is a deponent verb. Give me the definition of a deponent verb. A verb which is middle or passive in but. Right, a verb that is middle or passive in form, but active in function. So let's translate number 6. Hoi erkomenoi. The men or the ones who are coming where? Out of the house see the servant, right? How about the ones who are going out of the house? Would that work? How about the ones who come? Yeah, that would work. How about the ones who go? Yeah, that would work. How about the men who are coming? Yeah? How about the men who are going? Yeah, yeah. All of those I would accept. All those I would accept. The one I prefer, of course, is the one that brings out the what? The inherent aspect, right? So the one I really prefer is the ones who are coming. The ones who are going. That's what I would prefer, but all the others are correct. All the others are correct. All right. Now, page 141. Here we go. Page 141. Let's look at some of these examples. Cover up the English. Please do this for me. We're going to begin our rapid reading of participles. And it will not work if you look at the English. Bottom of 141, number 1, please cover up the English with your paper or with your hand or with something. Or this will not work. Okay? Is everybody doing it? No? No? Some of you aren't doing it. I can't start till you do it. I can't start till you do it. I can see somebody not doing it. Somebody say, what is he talking about? Let me repeat it. Well, on 141, we're looking at example number 1. Okay? There's 1 Greek sentence, there's 2 English, right? You must cover up the English. Okay? Which someone's still not doing. Okay. You must cover up the English. It's required. It is the law. And if you do not do it, then we can't start. So we're still not doing it. Okay. Can't start. Because it won't work if we don't cover it up. Shall we go ahead anyway? Shall we go ahead anyway? Oh, let's go ahead. Okay. Number 1. Let's translate. Don't look at English. Here we go. Are you ready? The apostle. Isn't it singular?
Yes.
Ha lego. Now, ha is what part of speech? It's an article, but you will never translate it as the. When it is used with the participle, you will give it what kind of a translation? A relative translation. What do I mean by that? Well, we will use an English relative pronoun. What are the relative pronouns in English? They are who, which, or that. So, the apostle who is saying, tauta, these things knows the Lord. Look at number 2. Cover up the English. Ha lego tauta. The man who is saying, or the one who is saying these things knows the Lord. Look at number 3. Only the Greek. Do not look at the English. Lepamen. We see. Ton apostolon. The apostle. Ton leganta. Leganta is a participle. It is preceded by the article. How will you translate the article as an English relative pronoun? What are the English relative pronouns? Who, which, or that. Let's do it. We see the apostle who is saying these things. Number 4. You see how this is working? Number 4. We see the one who is saying these things. Now look at all the English on number 4. You see the 3 possibilities? What are the 3? We see the one who is saying these things. What else? We see the man who is saying these things. What else? We see the one who says these things. What else? We see the man who says these things. Following? Rarely, if ever, will there be only one possible translation. All right, good. Turn the page. Here we go. Question. Number 4.
Why did we translate we see the name, the one, or why do we insert the different tone? You said when it comes before the participle, it's not going to be translated as a.
Well, yeah, I did say that, didn't I? Yeah, I did say that, didn't I? When the substantival participle is used, then you do have to use the. When the substantival participle is used. And number 4 is the substantival, right? We see. Oh, here's another way you can do it. We see him who is saying, right? We see him who is saying. That would be another way of doing it. But you're right. I did say that. It's not accurate though. With the substantival participle, then sometimes you will use an English definite article. But you don't have to. Look at number 4. Here's another way of doing it. We see him who is saying these things. Did I use an article there? No. But the normal way of doing it is we see. You see, you can't do, in English you can't say we see who is saying these things. Okay? You can't say we see who is saying these things. We have to say we see the one who. The one who. But very good question, and thank you for correcting me. With the substantival use, you do sometimes use the article though. You do indeed. Look at the next place. Don't look at English. Do not look at English. Look at number 5. See if you can do this. Lepamen tain legusa tauta. Tain legusa tauta. That's interesting. What gender is tain legusa? Is what gender? Feminine. So let's see if we can do this. Translate lepamen. We see tain legusa. The woman who is saying. Where am I getting? I don't see gune in there. Where am I getting woman from? From the gender of the participle, right? Go back one page, bottom of page 141. Go back one page. Why did we translate them before we see the man who is saying these things? Because what gender is Tom leg on top? Masculine. Go to the top of the next page, 142. Why do we translate Tein Legosan as the woman? Because it is now what gender? Feminine gender. Got it? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Now, look at number 6. What word has changed in number 6? Okay, we're going to go real slowly here because you can do this, but track with me. What has changed in number 6? The participle or the main verb? The main verb, right? I've gone from what tense to what tense? From the present to the aorist, okay? So number 5, blepamin is we see, and number 6, eblepsamin is we saw. Okay, now see if you can track with me. The rest hasn't changed. We saw the woman. Now watch this. The participle is present. Therefore, it must indicate action that is happening at the same time as the main verb. My main verb has gone from the present into the past. Therefore, my present participle must follow it. Now, with that in mind, do not look at the English on number 6. And if you haven't looked at the English, raise your hand if you'd like to translate number 6 for me. Yes, Jan.
We saw her who was saying these things.
We saw her who was saying these things. Or we saw the woman who was saying these things. You say, wait a minute. The participle is in the present tense. It is. But what does present mean? When you talk about the participles don't have time. Participles only take time in relationship to the what verb? The main verb. A present participle must always indicate action which is contemporaneous with the main verb. So that's how we translate 6. We saw the woman who was saying these things. Or like Jan's translation, we saw her who was saying these things. That would be fine. That would be fine. Please look at number 7. What tense is the first participle? What tense is the first word? What's my little helping word? While. So translate Lego. While saying these things, the apostle sees the servant. Which happened first? The saying or the seeing? Which happened first? Neither. Neither. They are happening at the... Good. Now look at number 8. Do not look at the English. I've changed one word. Right? I haven't changed the main verb. But the participle has gone from the present to the aorist. What's my little helping word? After. So let's translate 8. After saying these things, the apostle sees the servant. Which happened first? The saying or the seeing? The saying. How do I know that? Greek puts the participle in the what tense? The aorist tense. Got it? All right, look at the next example. Look at number 9. Do not look at English. Look at number 9. Now what have I changed? The main verb. The main verb, right? So let's translate ekwo and tau to apostolos. Again, it's an aorist participle. All you have to do is go after saying these things, the apostle saw the servant. Or having said these things, the apostle saw. Or, in English, we can notice the last example in English that I gave you for that one. After he said these things, or after he had said these things, the apostle saw the servant. Any of those would work. Any of them would work. Okay? Number 10. Let's translate. Ready? Begin. The servant who is being good, right? Greek says good is, but that's good Greek, but lousy. It is good, all right? Let's do number 10 again. Just look at number 10, look at the Greek. The servant who is being seen by the apostle is good. Please parse for me blepomenos. When you parse a participle, you need to give 7 things. The tense, voice, mood, the gender, number, case, and then the source. What tense is blepomenos? Present. What voice is it? Passive. What is the mood? Participle. Can you tell me the gender? Yeah, look at the article. Masculine. What number is it? Singular. What case is it? Nominative. And what is the source of blepomenos? Blepo. Good. Please look at number 11. I have changed something. My main verb has gone from the present to the past. You see it there? Yes. Has gone from the present to the past. Okay? All right, let's see if we can translate it now. Okay, there's a lot of things happening here, I know. Let's see if we can put it all together. Number 11. The servant who was being seen by the apostle was good. Can you hear the contemporaneous action? Yes. Please take a moment and compare 10 and 11. Right now, everybody. Look at 10, compare it with 11, and look at the English of both. Look at the English of both. Did you notice how the participle must indicate contemporaneous action? The present participle indicates action happening at the same time. You see that? How that works? Number 12. Let's see if we can put all this together. Ooh, ta blepomena. Ooh, boy. That looks like neuter, doesn't it? That looks like plural, doesn't it? Right? And that looks like it's either middle or passive. Which one am I going to start with? Passive. Okay? The things which are being seen. Stop right there. You see how I'm getting all that out of those 2 words? It's neuter and it's plural. And the participle is present and passive. Okay? The things which are being seen, mene, remain or abide, ace tu sionos. Does anybody remember that idiom? Forever. The Greek says into the ages. No. You will never translate it into the ages. How will you translate that idiom into English? Forever. Okay? The things that are being seen abide forever or remain forever. Look at 13. I've only added 1 word. You see the word I've added? Oh, excuse me, I added 2 words. I added 2 words, sorry. I added 2 words, didn't I? Are you ready to try it? Let's try it. The things which are not being seen do not remain forever. See how that works? By the way, why did I have to use a may and an oo? They both mean not. Why did I have to use a may? Because it's used with the participle. Why did I have to use an oo? Because many is in what mood? The indicative mood. See how that works? The may and the oo mean the same thing. They both mean not. Okay. Well, you can work on the rest of these. What I want you to do is turn to the exercises, and you're going to see how easy it is right now. Okay? Number 1. Look at number 1 in the exercise. You don't need to cover anything up here. All right. Look at number 1 in the exercise. Can you please translate for me the first 3 words? This is from Mark 1:14. Jesus came or Jesus went. Where did Jesus go? Into. Now you haven't had this word before. I don't need to give you words like this. You know what Galileon means, translated. Into Galilee. And the Greek, by the way, the Greek literally says into No. The Greek literally says into the Galilee. By the way, that's an idiom. Have any of you been to Israel? If you go to Israel, you don't go to Galilee, you go to Hagalil. The Hebrew is Hagalil, which means the Galilee. It's called the Galilee. And this is a Semitic idiom, right? Jesus went into Galilee, but the Jews would have said he went to where? Hagalil, the Galilee. And it was known as Galilee of the Goyim. What does that mean? Hagalil HaGoyim, the Galilee of the Goyim, of the Gentiles. Have you ever heard that expression? Galilee of the Gentiles. So Jesus went into Galilee. Look at the next word. Keruso. What part of speech is it? Participle. Put an ing on it and you've got it. Preaching. Got it? It's no more difficult than that. What was he preaching? The gospel of God. Now give me the whole thing. Go. Jesus came into Galilee preaching the gospel of God. Parsuri keruson. What tense is it? Present. What voice is it? Active. Remember the pattern here. Remember the pattern is Arco. Remember Arco? Help me out. Arco. Then what? Archon. Toss. Then what? Archon. Archon what? T. Don't say tie. Archon. T. Archon. Top, etc. Right? This is the form that's going to give you a headache. But when you see that, no. Archon test. Now watch this. Archon tone. But you see, this is genitive plural. This is nominative singular. So when you see that on, if it is not preceded by a new tau, think what? Nominative singular. So go back to keruson. Let's parse keruson. It is present, active, participle. Now participle goes in the voice slot. P-A-R-T. That's in the voice slot. Present, active, participle. Can you tell me what gender it is? Who is it modifying? Let's see. What noun is it modifying? Who is doing the preaching? Jesus. Look at Jesus in Greek. Can you tell me what gender and number and case it is? The gender is masculine. The number is singular. And the case is nominative. And what is the source of keruson? Keruson. Do you see how easy the participle is? Let's translate number one again. Jesus came into Galilee preaching the gospel of God. Over translate. Go. The Jesus came into the Galilee preaching the gospel of the God. See that? Now smooth it out. Jesus came into Galilee preaching the gospel of God. All right. Number 3. Blepe ta Yesu. This is John the Baptist. It says, he sees Jesus. Erkomenon, participle. From erkomai. Put an ing on erkomai. Go. Coming or going. Either way, right? That's all it is. That's the participle. In English, what do you add to it? What suffix? I-N-G. It's no more difficult than that. He sees Jesus coming, prosauton, to him, and he says, look, the Lamb of God. Now watch right here. Ha-iro. Now what does the verb iro mean? I take up or I take away. Remember iro? I take up or I take away. What part of speech is irone? Irone. Participle. Got it? Is the participle immediately preceded by an article? Yes. Therefore, I give it what kind of a translation? A relative translation. All right? The Greek says, the one who is taking away. Right? Behold, the Lamb of God who is taking away the sin of the world. Got it? There are two participles in number 3. Find the first one. Er, ka, men, nan. Now, you can parse it, but we have to go slowly, but you can do it. Think. Think. What tense is er, ka, men, nan? It's present. Isn't it? It's from er, ka, men. What voice is er, ka, men, nan? Deponent, right? What is its source? Erkamon, right? So what kind of a participle then is it going to be? A deponent participle. What is in the mood slot? Participle. Now watch this. Gender, number, and case. See if you can figure this out. What noun is it modifying? Who is doing the coming? John the Baptist or Jesus? Jesus. Okay. By the way, you see how there's no ambiguity in Greek? Listen to the English. He sees Jesus coming. Well, who's doing the coming? Well, in the Greek, there's no ambiguity, right? I saw the grandfather clock walking upstairs. I saw the clock walking upstairs. Clocks don't walk. But in Greek, there wouldn't be any ambiguity. Who is doing the seeing? I see the clock walking upstairs. Who's doing the walking? I, right? Walking upstairs, I see the clock. You see how in English it's ambiguous sometimes? John sees Jesus while coming. Well, who's doing the coming? John or Jesus? Well, notice the Greek is not ambiguous. Who is doing the coming? It has to be Jesus. Why? Because their covenant agrees with Jesus in what 3 things? Tell me. Gender, number, and case. Can you tell me what gender? Look at Jesus. A masculine. Can you tell me the number? Singular. Now watch this. Can you tell me the case? Accusative. Accusative. See it there? It's accusative. Do you see how our covenant agrees with Tanyisin? It's in the accusative. It's in the accusative. And what is the source of our covenant? It is er, ka, man. One more to go in number 3. Iron. Please look at Iron. Find Iron. What tense is Iron? Present. What voice is Iron? Active. What mood is Iron? Participle. Now remember this. Think archon, 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 archon. Remember, there's an own here, but that has to be preceded by the new noun. So when you see own, you're going to think what? Nominative, singular. Nominative, singular. So we need the gender, the number, and case of Iron. The gender. Yeah, look at the word right in front of it. See the ha? Now tell me the gender. Masculine. Tell me the number. Singular. Tell me the case. Nominative. Tell me the source of Iro. Iro. What does Iro mean? I take up or I take away. Translate ha Iro. The one who is taking away. Or the one who takes away. I would accept that. Or he who takes away. Okay? Any of those would work. Look at number 4, please. Number 4. Translate Kai. And don't leave Kai untranslated. Don't leave Kai untranslated. A lot of you did on the quiz yesterday, remember? Remember, and I saw, and I heard, and some of you didn't translate the Kai. You just left it off. A lot of you translated it as then. Where did you get then from? I know where you got then from. Okay, but you cannot slavishly follow your English, right? There's another word in Greek for then. Kai doesn't mean then. Kai means and, or also, or even, okay? Now notice the Kai, don't leave it untranslated. And Kai Adon, and I saw. Alon, Amgalon, Iskaron. Which of those 3 words is the noun? Which is the noun? Angalon. What did he see? I saw an angel. What kind of an angel? Alon, Angalon. Another angel. What kind of another angel? Another strong angel. Stop right there. Are you tracking with me? Are you still with me? I have 3 words, right? One of them is the noun. Which one is the noun? Angalon. Alon is what part of speech? Adjective. Iskuran is what part of speech? Adjective. So I saw another, you know, this is the mighty angel, the strong angel. I saw another strong angel. Oh, kata bainanta. Participle from kata baino. Put an ing, go. Coming down. Got it? That's all there is to the participle. And I saw another strong angel coming down. Who was doing the coming down? God or the angel? The angel. Where was he coming down out of? Out of heaven. All right, look at Kata Bainanta. Look at the board. Kata Bainanta. This is going to help you. Look at Kata Bainanta. We're going to parse it. Are you ready? All right? It comes from Kata Baino. Okay? Are you ready? What tense is Kata Bainanta? Present. What voice is it? Active. Now what goes in the mood spot? Participle. Participle. Can you tell me the gender? Well, what is Kata Bainanta modifying? The noun Angalon, right? So what gender is Angalon? Masculine. What number is Angalon? Singular. What case is Angalon? Watch this here. It's singular and it's accusative, isn't it? Which declension? Third declension. See that? Third declension. Kata bainanta ek tu u ra nu. Number 7, quickly, we're going to just do some sight reading here, real quick. Number 7. And he was casting out, singular or plural? To translate daimonion, a demon. See it there? Number 9. Here, we're just doing some sight reading. We can do this. Number 9. Kai altas edidasken. Edidasken is what tense? Nope, it's not aorist. Imperfect. Translate the altas. And he himself was teaching. Where was he teaching? In their synagogue. Stop right there. Are you with me? That's not so bad, is it? And he himself, by the way, blessed are the poor in spirit, for they, there was autoi, for they themselves, autoi will see God, right? Opsantai means what? They will see. Now do autoi opsantai. They themselves. Don't leave that untranslated. All right, back to number 9. And he himself was teaching in their synagogues. Doxadzamenos. From doxazo, it's passive. Put an ing. Being glorified by who? By all, right? And he himself was teaching in their synagogues, being glorified by all. All right, let's parse doxadzamenos and then we'll be done. Doxadzamenos. Look at it carefully. Can you tell me what tense it is? Present. Can you tell me what voice it is? Passive. What mood is it? It is a participle. Can you tell me the gender, the number, and the case? The gender is masculine. The number is singular. And the case is nominative. Nominative. You see the os? This is the second declension now. The os is in the second declension. Okay? And what is the source of doxadzamenos? It's got to be what? Doxazo. Doxazo. Okay? Alright, let's look at the exercises to this lesson. What does it say? Exercises. Read the lesson carefully. Study this, study that. Blah, 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 blah. Memorize what? Huh? Learn by heart what? Nothing. You don't need to do that. Secondly, do what? Learn the vocabulary to this lesson. Huh? No. No vocabulary. Why? Because you just had 50 million words. You don't need any more vocabulary. And be able to what? Translate and parse these sentences, okay? By the way, if you're comparing with the English, avoid what? Avoid paraphrases. Lean on what kind of an English translation? Literal. I was in the library yesterday. In the Bible section, you've got dozens of them. You've got the New American Standard, you've got the Revised Standard Version, you've got the American Standard Version, you've got the New, you know what I'm saying? Rely on a literal translation if you're going to compare those. All right. All right, now we need to talk about just one thing. Next Wednesday and Thursday, there is a special lecture on campus on missions. And Brother Fredo has asked me if it would be possible for us to meet in the afternoon so that you all would be able to attend those 2 days of special lectures. And I said that would be fine with me. But would it be okay with you? Is it okay with you if we switch to the afternoon? Do you want to think about it? Let me know tomorrow. Okay. Think about it and let me know tomorrow. The lectures, I believe, from 9 to noon on Wednesday and on Thursday. Okay? And he wanted us to start like at 2 o'clock and go till 5. Okay? Next Wednesday and next Thursday. You think about it, let me know, okay? We'll just take a vote tomorrow and see what the class wants to do on that. Okay. Also, if the videographers, I need to talk to you too, because if you can't do it, then that case is closed. If you can only come in the morning, then we won't switch it. But I'll talk to the videographers after class today. All right? Let's have a word of prayer. We'll do this meeting. Lord in heaven above, we cannot thank you enough for your grace, your mercy, and for your help in our time of need. And Lord, this is a great time of need. It just seems that things are just piling up, and it's hard to keep them all in balance. So, Father, I pray for supernatural grace and for supernatural spiritual wisdom as we discuss such mundane things as participles and as verbs and as parts of speech, Lord. Help us to see the relevance of what we are studying for the interpretation of the New Testament. Lord, you be good to these, my students. You dismiss them now with your blessing of your presence, purpose, and power. I pray in your name. Amen. Thank you very much.